I really wish I would have started recording earlier because we just missed Nick saying risk it for the biscuit. Absolutely. But welcome back to Animated Animators. We are undergoing a name change. Legally, we are now called Twitter. So you have to act accordingly. With me, as always, is Nick Arbeiter, who's formerly a lead animator at PlayStation Visual Arts. We're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to be coy. And joining us, Moe Ftouni, formerly cinematic animator at PlayStation Visual Arts and currently senior animator at Superseed Studios. Moe, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
So kind of I'll do a quick sort of introduction for Moe, and then I'm going to have him introduce himself a little bit more. Both of us, me and Nick and myself, Nick and I, the royal we, Nick at night, if you will, worked with Moe when we were all at Steamroller Studios. That was 87 years ago. Really long time. No, it wasn't that long ago, but obviously we are all still very close and enjoy each other's company, so we couldn't not have Moe on the program, which is what you call a YouTube show now. So Moe, I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself, but first I want to ask you, how dare you show up with such immaculate hair and just throw it in my face like this?
Oh man,
you knew that I shaved my head, and yet you just decided to show up looking like a model. And you know what? I take it back. I respect you for it.
It's all yours, Nate. It's all yours, man.
We have to have some appeal, right? We're not cutting it, right, Nate?
It's just me.
We got this guy now.
All right, Moe, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give the audience a sense of who you are, what you do now.
So I guess my name is Moe, and I'm a animator. I've been an animator for about 7 years now. I started at a smaller studio called Monkey Chow Productions, and that was my first kind of foot in the door, and I was there for a few months. And then I joined Steamroller with you guys, and I was there for about 5 years. And I think I was like one of the first, I think I was the 10th hire over there. And then I was there for a bit. And then after 5 years, I decided, maybe it's time to try something new, explore other options and, try out different things. So I tried applying to Sony, PlayStation. And with the help of Chris Morgan, who was a supervisor there, the one and only, he helped me get a job there, and I was there for about 2 years. And now I'm currently working at Superseed, and I just started beginning of August. So yeah,
just a killer for hire, folks. You want to get it done, you go to Moe.
He's not wrong. You're laughing, but he's not wrong.
It's interesting. We have all, again, like we said, we started all at, well, not started, but we all met each other at Steamroller Studios, and it's definitely, it is, I won't say it's small. I think it's gotten a lot bigger in the time since we were there and while we were there, but it's got to be very different working at PlayStation compared to Steamroller. And I'm curious if you could talk about what that was like, that transition, because I know, like, going from some of the other studios to Bungie, it was very different. It's very different.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences between going from Steamroller to Sony was Sony's like really big as a company, and a lot of they have like, a lot of projects, of course, like titles and stuff. But I think the biggest difference from what I've experienced, which is something that Chris Morgan, I'm not sure if like other supervisors try to bring to the table, is Steamroller had like this community where the teams were together. Like they were always in dailies together or meetings together and stuff like that. And it's because it wasn't as big, and like, I guess they tried to like form a culture where everybody's like close as far as like teammates go and, friends. But with Sony being a bigger company, it was like kind of, you just have one-on-one meetings with your lead, and then you work, and then you submit for review. But then when I joined Chris and Nick, they tried to bring that to the table where they're like, let's have these daily meetings, and then they even started these Friday hangouts where we would like play Overwatch for like an hour and stuff like that. And soon after, I think other teams started implementing them and stuff like that. So I think that was like the biggest major difference, despite the other than the size, of course, because there's a lot of people at Sony. It's a pretty big company.
It's definitely it's hard to get used to, I think, especially when you realize that the team is not just like not everyone's all animators on the same team. Animators can be on different projects, or they can be in different just like having cinematic animators when we were at Steamroller was, there's a lot of overlap with like gameplay people. Everyone was hanging out in the same room and maybe potentially even working on the same projects. But I definitely think when I got to Bungie, it's a huge company. There's a ton of people there. And you start to realize that there's not just like all the animators, when you type something in this channel, we'll see something.
Yeah.
And it's there's designs for a reason. It's not, you don't want to just spam people all the time. But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so like kind of to piggyback off of that, I feel like one of the biggest differences that I noticed is that going from a small studio, it feels like, I know how this is going to sound, but bear with me. It feels like animation is all facets of animation, because there's no guarantee that going back to different projects that you're going to be doing the same kind of animation. Like it might be hand keyed on one, you might be doing a mocap thing for a couple months, and then you're back to hand key. You might be doing all gameplay or in game, which I'm finding out that those are two different things at this point. Like that's, but like my point is, like when you go to the bigger like studio or somewhere else, those types of animation or names for the animation mean something different, and they are much more concrete. Whereas like, oh, I'm a cinematics animator, I'm only doing cinematics. Or gameplay animation, it's like, this is what a gameplay animator does. And I'm like, oh, so like you might not just be doing all of the stuff anymore, you might just be doing one thing. Is what I kind of noticed.
Yeah.
I had a really great, and I hope I'm not revealing too much, and sorry, Bungie and PlayStation, I guess, if I am. But I had a really fantastic review with my manager, and I'm still on the same project and role that I've been on since the beginning, and it's going well. It's a lot of fun. But my manager was like, "What interests you? Like, what other roles are interested in you? If you weren't doing this, what would you want to be doing? Would it be cinematic? Would it be vignette? Would it be, um, you know, would it still be gameplay? Would it be sandbox? Would it be first person? Like, what interests you?" And just someone asking you, like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" is just, yeah.
See,
rare.
can I be honest with you right now? You just listed like three
Safe
or four
space.
things, and like even though I was like a lead at like a sister studio, I don't know what that means per se. like if somebody's like at like the bigger studio is like a vignette animation. I'm sorry.
No,
Can you
this
explain what that
here
is
we
to
go.
me?
Learning opportunity, because I had to ask. I asked this person, "I'm so sorry. Like, I thought this was cinematic when they described it to me, and it is, but it's also its own kind of thing." So vignette, and again, apologies, Bungie, PlayStation, my manager, if you're watching, you aren't. Is more scripted events that happen in the course of gameplay. So you're in an arena and the wall explodes and a new boss drops in. So like your camera moves, or it like focuses on the thing that's happening and it draws your attention to it. It's not quite gameplay. It's not quite a cinematic. It's just a little snippet in time that is kind of cinematic. I think that would be the best way to describe it. God, I really hope no one from work is listening, and I just, if I butchered this, because I haven't done it. Like I haven't worked in it. Based on all these different aspects of animation, I want you to talk to me about what you think of this phrase. Every animator should be a technical animator.
Oh man.
There's no right answer. So what does that immediately, mean to you?
So every animator should be a technical animator. I guess like it has some truth to it in a sense where this is something that someone told me back then, is that like, you always want to be an asset, right? And you always want to bring value to the table. And I think like, and what if you, it's kind of like it's a skill that doesn't hurt to have, I guess. I don't know if the necessary, like it necessarily needs to be a have to be, but it's nice to be. Because you always want to be someone that has value, and you want to be able to help your team wherever you can. Um, so I think in that sense, it like stands, a little true, because like, the more you have, the more you're able to bring to the table. Um, I'm personally lazy, so I'm not someone that's gonna dive into the technical aspect. I
You know
mean,
what? You say, listen, sorry, not to cut you off. You say you're lazy. You're one of the hardest working animators I know. So it's a more selective than you make it sound.
it's I put my hard work towards like my passion, right? And my passion is the artistic side.
Yeah.
And that's like how I've always been, even when I was like in school and stuff like that, I was never someone that would do my homework. I would do well on the test, but I would never do my homework because I was just lazy and I didn't want to. So when it comes to like the technical aspect of it, there are people that are really good at it. And to name some people that we've met, like Devin, Alex, like those guys are really some good technical animators. Um, but for me, if it's something that I'm not too interested in, I'm going to be lazy towards it. But like when it comes to the animation and the art and the creative aspect of it, like I'm going to put my all into it,
Yeah.
Because that's like the passion for the most part. That's why I'm assuming like you, Nate, Nick, and like you guys went into the industry because of the animation portion, right? Because like it reminds me of when I was in high school, I had a trainer, and he told me that he said you should always think about, he was talking about like specifically with training, but he said that you always want to, in all aspects of life, you want to think about the other guy. There's someone out there that's working just as hard, if not harder than you. And um, life's competitive, and everyone's like fighting for that spot, and that's why it's always good to have a lot of different skill sets, and again, bringing that value to the table.
Yeah.
And another mentor also told me that it's easy to get a job, but the hard part is keeping it, and that's the part where you have to kind of expand and learn new things and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's the most motivational shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I'm right. I'm gonna run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I love it. It is,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things that I made a distinct decision to do, where I was like, I'm gonna actively seek out a role that has more of a technical challenge, and it puts me in a really big discomfort zone. I don't. It's not my forte, but I mean, makes you more valuable. And it sounds selfish. It's like, oh, I'm bumping up my value, but you want to be a valued member of the team. You don't want to be someone who's only capable of doing one thing. Um, yeah, it's a hard adjustment to make, I think, for a lot of people, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if my Nick's 2 cents over here. I think that putting absolutes on anything in animation is kind of a raw deal, but I almost feel like the better statement should be like every animator should be a problem solver, and that blanket
I
statement
like that.
across
That's
the
a good one.
board, it
Yeah.
it it works as both like a artistic path and technical path.
That
Like,
is on
I-
a t-shirt.
I mean, it's like you said though. Like I forget which one of you just said it, but you should be able to at least make headway on trying to figure out what technical issue you are having, or you should be able to start the process to implementation or figuring it out, and then when you get hired at these places, they're gonna know / find out your skill set, and
Yeah.
it's also up to you to be honest about it. But at that point, you're like, hey, I got it this far. Animation's done. Animation's approved. I don't know how to implement it. I got as far as making a blueprint. Now what do I do? Like, you're like, all right, you tried, you did something. Like, at that point, it's like, all right, how can someone show me, or is there documentation or something? XYZ videos made somewhere, yada yada yada. And then you can go from that point where you're your knowledge base stopped, and then there will be a way for you to progress. Like even if you can't do it, there's gonna be a way for you to keep going, whether or not that's you doing it by hand the entire way through, or someone else coming to help you, or you giving it to somebody else that has that skill set and then they do it. Like one of those things is going to happen, and it's all going to lead to the same outcome of look at pretty animation in game.
Absolutely. Nick, we're going to circle back here. I said we were going to talk about this later, but do you have some news that you'd like to share with the audience, with the rest of the
Oh, well,
class?
you know what? Now I'm going to throw it back at you, sir. Do you have any news to share with us?
Oh, do I?
To anybody listening,
anybody
listening to the audio only version of this, he's holding up his hand, and his left hand now has a ring on it.
So
Nate.
your boy is officially a wife guy. That's
how you say it.
I like that.
I'm a wife guy.
A wife guy.
I'm a wife guy now. The fun, amazing experience of getting married just happened to me over the last couple weeks. It wasn't that long of a ceremony, just like I went on vacation for it. It's a lot of fun.
Congrats again, my man.
Congrats, Nate. Super happy for you, man.
Birdie, come out here. Show him.
Yeah.
It's not okay. Right,
this is the
part
of the training.
It's not my cat. It's not.
It's a work in progress.
The problem is Alyssa is Canadian, and not that that's a problem in and of itself. Don't cancel me. It's that when you say, "Oh, my Canadian fiance, my Canadian girlfriend, my Canadian wife," people are like, "Oh, sure, buddy. Yeah, no, yeah, she exists. I bet." She goes to a different school. You wouldn't know her, but she is very real. And she's going to be a guest on our next podcast. I don't know. She won't do it, but
no, I'm super happy for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats,
now,
Nate.
my
Love
lame
you,
news to follow up after that. Not as amazing. Sorry. But yes, as Nate alluded to at the beginning, the artist formerly known as an animator for PlayStation Visual Arts and Services. I not going to go into detail right now, but changes have occurred. I now have a new position. I am at a Superseed, and kind of. Well, thank you. Kind of going to be floating between like a senior lead, depending on projects and whatnot, but just gonna get to be more hands-on with it all again, and I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, for both of you guys, has such a good reputation, and I told you in our I'm going to call it a pre-podcast meeting, but it was just us talking for like 45 minutes. How cool it is that it's someone whose tutorials you watch is now like someone you work with. Jason is one of those people. It's always an interesting
shout out to him. He's a super cool guy.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
Jason, I'm happy at Bungie. Okay, don't. I know that everyone. Look,
come on, Nate.
This is the problem. We all end up just working at the same studios, and it's amazing. So I don't know.
Now all we have to do is become neighbors.
Yeah. So because I'm so desperate to keep this within the 40 minutes of Zoom meeting that we have allowed, we have 11 minutes left. I'm going to move on to. I'm going to say it's the last topic. If we run long, we run long. We'll start another meeting, but we're going to start with Moe. I'm curious what your take is on this. A colleague of mine experienced their first bout of really toxic fan-based behavior as a game dev. So the game that they worked on, which shall remain nameless, is targeted by players, and this person specifically got a DM on some social media site or a response on the social media site that was just shitty. So have you experienced this before? If you were to talk to this person, what would you say to them as to like shrug it off or, something like that? It's not that simple, but I'm curious what your take is on that.
So I guess like it's known that the internet's like a very toxic and dangerous place to be on. So
it's the worst.
Yeah. I mean, I've played Fortnite and I've gotten off Fortnite because like some 13-year-old like called me some stuff. I'm like, man, this is like intense, man. So the internet's like, yeah, pretty crazy. But I've had a similar experience too. I think we were working on Prey, and after the game released, or I think the trailer released for it, we went on YouTube and there were like a bunch of like negative comments. And me and Michelle were just looking through it, and we came across a comment that made us like crack up because somebody out of the whole trailer, somebody caught that you can turn into a cup. So they're like, you could turn into a cup. The game is now 10 out of 10. And then that like that like got like made us forget about all the negative comments, and we just like cracked up at that. And um so yeah, it was nice to see that despite like all those negative comments towards it, there was like one, or there's people out there that, you know, can find some positivity in it. Yeah.
People will always, like, if they're going to be, there's going to be shitty people, and they're going to be the most vocal about, it's not just games. It's like they're the TV shows that they watch and the books that they don't read any books. I don't know why I'm saying this.
I read
They
all
don't
the
read.
time. Stop
Not
it.
you.
Yeah, we
people
we
who
we, we
complain
read,
online.
we
People
read.
who, the Venn diagram of people who complain online about video games and people who read books is two separate circles on other sides of the planet. They're not the same thing. I mean so they don't complain about books, but they complain in general, and I think that they are just the loudest voice in the room sometimes, and it sucks. And what I told this person, and it's easy to say it and it's much harder to do, which is their opinions just don't matter. Like, and I can see as a person who plays these games, I understand the feeling that, like, I play the game, my experience is valid, and you should heed what I'm saying. But the second that that turns into talking about personal shit, calling them, terrible game devs, telling them to kill themselves, like, you're not worth my time. Like, I'm not going to address you anymore. So you have to be able to just say, like, those people. Like, I'm not going to bother listening to you. But it's harder to do than it is to, like, I can just say that to you. But really, look at the people on your team. Like, they know what you did. They know the work that you put in, and, like, the measure of success isn't necessarily what some fan thinks about it. If it's positive, it absolutely counts in your favor. But if it's negative, out of there.
Well, you know what? I think it's kind of like the paradox of reviews, right? Like, sorry, when I say reviews, I don't mean like a game review, but I mean like the entire aspect of reviewing. Like if you go search on something, half of the time you see, all right, this has a negative review. Why does it have a negative review? You start looking through reviews and whatnot, and it's just people listing off complaints that they had, or comments, or negative comments. And I think that there's like when you're looking at like an aggregate like that, there's more people that have a negative experience feel inclined to say something vocally and loudly about it than the people that have a good experience. The people that have a good experience are just like, that was fun, and move on. Like, or if they had like a crazy good experience, then they leave their positive review or whatever, right? But like half of the time, the reason that things look worse than they are, or you see something as more negative, is straight up just because there's more voices like that, because they feel the need to say something and be heard. Whereas the people that have a good experience don't feel the need to shout it to the rooftops to be like, I don't know.
Well, no, sorry,
You-
Mo, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't mind me like piggybacking off.
Piggybacking off. Yeah, you got it.
Picking off.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, okay. All right. It's like struggled there for a little bit. I think the other thing too is that like I was just reminded of this recently actually, where we sometimes we lose sight of, because of like, you know, we're working on games, right? And we're always like looking at people's reviews, and because like the titles that we're working on and stuff like that. But I was just reminded of this recently where somebody asked me what I do, and I told them I'm an animator. And I feel like after doing it for so long, we tend to lose sight of the fact that what we do is actually pretty cool, and that, you know, we're artists, and not many people can say that they're artists. Whether we draw, whether we animate, whether, you know, we model or texture, or like concept artists. Like, I think that after doing it for so long, we forget that. And, you know, we were doing it for 7 years, and I think that's something that kind of brings back like the highlight of, you know, our job and our career. It's the fact that, like, you know, not only the colleagues, but It's just like reminding ourselves that what we do is like pretty cool and it's pretty fun, you know, and it's enjoyable. So like,
It really is.
yeah,
It's pretty
yeah,
incredible when you get a chance. Like when I talk to friends of mine about their jobs and like what they're going through, and some of these people I think they're really cool jobs or things that I couldn't comprehend in like finance or tech or something like that. And they're like, yeah, but you get to like you create something.
yeah,
And that is something special. I always said that if something happens and it, knock on wood, it doesn't, and I have to, work somewhere else and do a completely different job in a different industry, I will always be happy. Like I got to do this for like a
yeah,
short period of time, or for, I guess it's been a long period of time now, but I'll always be grateful for that. But
yeah.
I think that Mo might win with the quote. I might have to pull that for a short clip on YouTube or something. So
Okay.
touche. Last thing, we have 4 minutes left, very short. Mo,
Yeah.
what games or shows are you watching or playing right now, and what do you like about them? What are you
Oh
up to?
man.
What are you into?
So I think that the last game that I played was Last of Us, and it was the first game that I've completed fully. Like
Like
I
ever or in
ever
recent history?
ever. I didn't grow up much of a gamer, and I was always
Yeah.
like, you know, outside and stuff. But and that's why like some people are surprised that I'm even in the gaming industry. They're like, why you didn't play games?
Yeah.
Um, but Last of Us was the first game that I fully completed, and right now I've been on like the anime train. I think I've been watching the new Jujutsu Kaisen season, the new Bleach season, which is pretty flames. And Nick, I'm waiting for you to watch that.
Do I need
I
to
did. We just
watch
didn't get to
all
talk
the way
about it yet.
back? Can I just start watching Bleach, or do I have to go
I'll
like
curate it for you. Don't worry.
Nick can
next
break it down for
episode,
you.
people?
Yeah.
Bleach, the
Yeah.
review. That's awesome. After trying, I always, Nick knows this, I try animes because I'm trying to feel like part of the cool crowd, and there's some incredible animation there, but sometimes I have real difficulty like latching on to plot, or it feels slow or something like that. It's not them, it's me entirely. But I just again started rewatching One Punch Man because truly it is the perfect, for
Yeah.
me, anime. It's got cool action stuff. It's hilarious. Like I don't.
If you want another one like that, Nate, I think you'd like Chainsaw Man, because like Chainsaw
Oh,
Man
I
is
watched Chainsaw Man. Sorry.
okay, sweet.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, I
sweet.
watched
All right,
that one.
cool.
It was
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
not going to
Other
say Mob Psycho? You should totally watch Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho's another
I'm
one.
gonna write
It's
that one down. Chainsaw Man was cool. It did have some elements that some stuff just makes me very uncomfortable in anime, where I feel like I'm a grown man and
yeah.
there's some things there I'm just like, okay, I feel a little gross like watching it. And I feel
Yeah.
like I can just skip forward 10 seconds. Great. Like that's fine. But Chainsaw Man had the action to make up for it. I mean,
Yeah.
plus chainsaw for a face, pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
I get a
And
lot
I
of that.
liked how different it was too. It wasn't like your traditional underdog story. Like he had other
Yeah.
motives, and like it's not just I want to be the best. And yeah.
Yeah.
But Mob Psycho,
Awesome.
I think you'll enjoy too, Nate, because it's this. I'm pretty sure it's the baby project of the person that created One Punch Man. So
Okay, that one is going. That's
Yeah.
on the
No,
list then. There we
and
go. Mob Psycho.
and one Mob Psycho is an amazing like just feel good story, like
Mhm.
feel good time, like up until the end. It's only 3
Okay.
seasons, like legit.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well,
you're
this is
gonna
perfect.
feel feelings, man.
I have a show to watch tonight. We have a minute left. Mo, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
us, for blessing us with your presence, your hair, your grace, your facial hair, just the whole thing. All right. Well, that was it. Thank you for listening to Animated Animators. You two, we'll just do a Discord call after this or something.
Okay.